Today, we're diving into how you can teach your AI to become a permanent expert at a specific job. We're talking about a new feature from Anthropic called Claude Skins.
You know, large language models are incredible generalists, but what happens when you need a specialist? How do you actually teach an AI a specific, repeatable task and make that knowledge stick without having to start all over again in every single chat?
And that's the core problem, right? AIs basically have conversational memory. So once a chat ends, all that expertise you just taught it just vanishes. For anyone with custom repeatable tasks, this means you're just constantly repeating yourself. You need a way to give your AI lasting specialized knowledge. So Anthropic's answer to this whole challenge is a feature they're calling skills. Let's break down what they actually are. The easiest way to think about a skill is like an app for your AI. It's this self-contained little package with everything Claude needs to perform one specific task. Instructions, some Python scripts, other resources. Once you install it, Claude can tap into that skill across any conversation, which basically turns a generalist AI into a specialist with a permanent toolkit.
Now that sounds powerful, and it is, but the real innovation here is how incredibly efficient it is behind the scenes. Okay, the secret sauce here is a concept called progressive disclosure. Instead of cramming every single instruction for every single skill into the AI's limited context window, Claude starts small. It only sees a tiny summary of each skill up front, and it only loads the full details when it actually needs them. The whole process is super simple and efficient. First, Claude just scans a short name and description for each skill. This uses almost no resources, just a few dozen tokens. Second, when your request matches one of those descriptions, and only then, it triggers the final step. Claude loads the full detailed instructions from that skills folder on demand. The really crucial point here is token efficiency. Now, tokens are the bits of words that AIs process, and their attention span, their context window, is limited. As tech analyst Simon Wilson has pointed out, older methods could burn through tens of thousands of tokens just to make a tool available. Skills, on the other hand, keep that context window clean, loading the heavy-duty instructions only when they're truly relevant. So that's the theory, but what are people actually building with this? Let's take a look at some real-world examples. Anthropic got things started with a really powerful official toolkit. We're talking about skills that can generate properly formatted Word documents, create PowerPoint presentations complete with charts, build Excel spreadsheets with actual formulas, and there's even a skill to make sure every output follows your company's specific brand guidelines. And the response from the developer community? It was pretty much immediate. The consensus was clear. The barrier to entry here is incredibly low. We saw users reporting that they were building and shipping genuinely useful custom tools in a matter of hours, not weeks. Honestly, the creativity from the open source community is even more impressive. They've built things like a skill creator. It's a meta skill where you just describe what you want in plain English, and it literally writes the skill for you. Another tool, called Skill Seekers, can analyze a website's documentation and automatically generate a ready-to-use skill for it. This all sounds pretty transformative, I know, but with any new tech, it's really important to have a balanced view. So let's look at the key advantages and, of course, the current limitations.
The advantages are pretty clear. First, it is incredibly token efficient. Second, because these skills are really just folders with text and scripts, they're super portable. They're not locked into one specific model. And third, it's kicked off this really vibrant open source ecosystem where people can share and improve on each other's work. But there are some really important limitations to keep in mind. First off, this feature is currently only on Claude's paid tiers. Second, the environment where the skills code actually runs is sandbox, so it has no network access. It can't call out to external APIs. And finally, and this one is critical, you have to only install skills from sources you trust, because malicious code could absolutely be a security risk. Okay, so weighing the pros and cons, how do you decide if this is actually the right tool for your workflow? Let's just break it down. Skills are really ideal for anyone, from a solo developer all the way up to a huge enterprise who has complex, repeatable workflows. They're best for automating tasks like data analysis, content creation pipelines, or enforcing company-wide standards. The main thing to consider before you jump in, always audit the source of community skill for security, and just be aware of the current platform constraints.
Ultimately, what Claude Skills represents is a shift from just prompting an AI to actively teaching it. It transforms the model from being a simple conversationalist into a specialist worker, one with persistent expertise. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. Now that our AIs can truly learn skills, what are we going to choose to teach them next?